Spiritual common sense, reincarnation, karma. These are the topics I've been wanting to cover for probably a month. But I've been very busy with my dear loving wife who accidentally broke her leg. And then with other things, it has been very difficult to find the time. So, with no further ado, the spiritual common sense issue is kind of an interesting thing. One more commercial. What I teach is not the same as anything else. If you're trying to add to your understandings of Buddhism or Christianity or Judaism or any ism or anything that gurus teach or swamis or anything else, if you're trying to add to an existing faith or religion, I am not the one to listen to because there are none. All of them started out thousands of years ago or even hundreds or whatever the case may be from an original individual, be it Jesus or whoever, that had first person one-on-one communication with Brahman, God, whatever you want to call the deity of creation or whatever. And as the years go by, especially after the death of a particular archetype that I'm speaking about, as the time goes by, it gets corrupted. And it gets corrupted for a specific reason, not accidental. And you know all the experiments that they do in your school and in college. They teach that, you sit in a round table and whisper in each other's ear and it goes around the circle and the message is changed by the time it gets back to the original source. That's a common thing that they teach you in grade school. And then, of course, in many other places also. But I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about willful corruption of the original source material. And the reason that happens is because the people that are not enlightened, or better to be actually truthful, is the demonic darkness that rules this planet and always has ruled this planet, has an agenda to control you, to control others, to control the faiths and the religions. And they can't do that when Jesus was alive. They couldn't do it to Buddha when he was alive. They can't do it to me while I'm alive. But after an individual dies, they no longer can defend what they were trying to teach. Because, as you well know, when someone tries to teach something to somebody else, they'll reiterate back and forth and back and forth. They go, is this what you mean? No, I mean this. Oh, okay, so I understand. So this is what you mean. No, that's not what I meant. This is what I mean. Oh, but is this what you meant on that particular? No, I didn't mean that. This is exactly what I mean. And so this narrowing down, and even though you have a book written by, and of course, Jesus didn't write anything, and neither did Buddha. I mean, this is provable. So in each case, it's extremely difficult to convey from the mind of the enlightened person or the individual what they have inside them to the other individual. Extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult when they're alive, but damn near impossible. Well, not damn near, impossible after they're gone, or if it's not in person, one-on-one. It is impossible. Now, does that mean nobody can become enlightened? Does that mean nobody can be? No, that does not. But what you have to replicate is the same process that those individuals did. They got it directly vertical to the source, be it Brahman, God, whatever you want to call it. That's where they got it from. And so you can do the same thing, but if you don't know the proper process or this or that or whatever, well then you're lost forever trying to find the correct path. Let's put it that way, unless you have some sort of guidance. Now, is that saying that all religions, faiths, et cetera, are bad or whatever? No. In fact, most of them are not bad. It's a good stepping stone, so to say. So, with that commercial over, back to the main subject that I've been trying to cover is spiritual common sense, reincarnation, etc., etc. Spiritual common sense. Okay, so it's agreed by literally anyone that has even the smallest modicum of spiritual understanding in literally all faiths that we are living in what is known as the Kali Yuga in Hinduism, or the end days in Christianity. Native American Indians have another. The list is on. And so this is agreed upon by all spiritual sources that we are living in the end days. Well, what is common sense? Common means, you know what the word common means. It's common. And sense means you're able to discern right from wrong, or your senses of a slap on the hand. Oh, my senses tell me that was a slap on the hand. Okay. So what I'm saying is during this period of existence, call it the Kali Yuga or the end days or whatever, spiritual common sense has gone awry. I looked this up just the other day. 86% of the world population aligns themselves or identifies as one faith or another. There's many, of course. Christianity is the number one religion throughout the world, but many others closely follow, and 86% identify with some sort of a faith in a deity, or at least in a system of fairness, of you shouldn't kill people without good reason, or you should be nice to others, or this or that or whatever. 86% of the world population. The other 14% are, we have atheists, we have agnostic, we have Satanists, we have etc., etc., etc. But you know, I've known lots of atheists, and I find them to be very good people. So that's just another belief system, if you will, that the belief that there's no God. But even for the most part, those people have if you've ever talked to them, have a belief system based upon fairness, goodness, kindness to others, treat each people as you would like to be treated yourself, take care of the planet Earth as best you can, blah, blah, blah. So just a small little fraction of the population of the world believes that you should go out and murder, kill, pillage, plunder, etc., etc., which is what we would expect during the Kali Yuga, which would be what we have been told in scriptures and Christianity, that in the end days, total darkness covers the earth, spiritually speaking, and evil abounds everywhere. And yet we're in the end days, and yet we have 86% of the population that identifies as some sort of a spiritual foundation of belief in fairness and truth. So there's some sort of cognitive dissonance going on here. Either we are in the Kali Yuga and things are bad, horrible, or we are not in the Kali Yuga, and with 86% and let's call it 90% of the people that believe in love, bliss, and charity and all these sorts of things, then we have to agree that with that fact in place. There's no such thing as wars right now. There's no such thing as really evil. There's no crime being committed. Theft and all these sorts of things doesn't exist. These are just rumors. It isn't true. We live on a planet with total bliss, loving kindness, and everything else. Now, of course, you don't believe that, neither do I. So what's going on here? Well, obviously, common sense has gone astray. Commonly, everyone believes something that isn't true. It requires everyone to have a paradigm shift to realize that what they think is all loving, wholesome in their faith and in their religion and everything isn't so. It's corrupt. It's wrong. In Christianity, I'm going to hack the words because I just don't recall them right off the bat, but something to the effect that Jesus says, come Judgment Day or whatever, that the people go, well, didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we do all these things? And his reply is, I never knew you. I don't know any, depart from me. What the hell do you think that means? It means that 86% of the population that identifies with a faith-based organization of one kind or another has gone astray. Jesus never knew them. Buddha would say, I never knew you. Krishna would say, you've gone astray. Yeah, that's what common sense means. Common sense in these days is wrong. It's just flat wrong. The original authors, or not the authors, but the original people spoken of, like Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, etc., Lao Tzu and stuff, these individuals taught a certain thing, whatever it is they were teaching. You can glean some of the good things from it, but a lot of it was corrupted, okay? A lot of it. Actually, the things that were corrupted were some of the key ingredients that lead a person to enlightenment or lead a person out of darkness. Those key ingredients were corrupted, and they were corrupted by the god of this world. Now, when I say the god of this world, everyone in Christianity understands that as Lucifer, but Lucifer's not alone, man. There's in Christianity, and I believe this to be fairly accurate, that 33% roughly of all spiritual beings sided with Lucifer. And of course, they live here amongst us on this planet. And those that are really closely aligned with Lucifer, they're immortal. They don't die. They live their lives here in an immortal condition endlessly. And so let's get back to some of the key ingredients that were corrupted. What does Buddha teach about the wheel of samsara? Well, according to what is written and what people teach, is Buddha said, life is misery and pain, suffering, on and on and on, and that he goes, well, this is my last time here. I am not coming back. I'm calling it quits. Well, I don't believe he said that for 1 minute, because the reason I don't think he said that is because he was an enlightened individual. He knew what the truth was, independent of the entire world. So if we take the immortal beings, Lucifer, etc., and his top lieutenants, well, guess what? They don't have the reborn and birth and everything. So would you rather be aligned with Lucifer so you don't have to go through this process time after time after time? Or do you think that a God, a loving God that loves you as you love that God, and then you signed up for this wheel of samsara for whatever reason that you have not been taught, that you are living in right now, and that wheel of samsara, birth, death, and you live this life of suffering, etc., etc., etc. That was or is a system created by a loving God, not a system created by someone that wants to torture you and make your life a living hell. Although it actually is a living hell in many instances. But that's the way it's supposed to be, because when we live our lives based upon mortality, we know we're going to die. It doesn't matter. And so we feel life slipping away from us. So we need to experience this, we need to experience that. And you love with all passion because you know you're going to die eventually, etc., etc., etc. Whereas an immortal being doesn't have to start over and over and over. Another part of reincarnation is you live a life and you go, damn, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have betrayed that person, or this and that. And we know how Jesus, the teaching of the atonement of Christ, where your sins are forgiven. Well, it's not just sins. There are other things, transgressions, for instance, that might not be considered a sin. And you go, damn, I wish I would have done better. Or I just feel horrible about myself because I treated that individual a certain way, or whatever. Well, after you die and you are reborn again, you don't remember that past life. Now, you never lose the identity of who you are. You coexist eternally with God. God did not create your essence. And so that essence goes on and on and on and builds upon, builds and builds and builds in this particular reality that God created for us. And the full effect of what is gained as versus immortality, what is gained by mortality is not fully known by most people. But if you stop and think about it for a while, you'll realize the beautiful benefits of this particular life. It's difficult. It's difficult, and it's horrible to lose loved ones that die. You experience things that I could go on and on and on. But the basics are, which I'm telling you straight up, reincarnation is a good thing created by God for you. If you want it to stop, that's fine. Nobody's going to force you to be reborn again. You can make it stop, but you're stopping your progression. You're stopping your growth. Do you want to stop going to school when you're in the 3rd grade? How do you think you would fare in a world where education is valued above everything? How do you think you would fare? Not well, especially if your capabilities are great and you've got a strong mind. No, you want to go on and educate yourself. So to think, well, I don't like to go to school next year because I fell off the swing set when I was in the 3rd grade. Well, that's kind of immature and kind of stupid and short-sighted to not see the ongoing benefits of a building and building and building. Karma is another thing that's taught absolutely backwards and wrong. Karma, okay, well, picture this. A weightlifter that's struggling to lift weights. Another one, and another person sitting right next to him in a hammock sipping on his wine and everything, and says, dude, what did you do in your life to deserve such horrible karma that you're sweating and struggling lifting these weights? Well, let's say a life is like a single day, okay? Well, nobody starts lifting weights in a single day and tomorrow they're a world-class weightlifter. No, it takes years of lifting weights. Well, what do you think karma is? It's the same thing. On the surface, on a single day, it looks like this poor sap got cursed or something. Oh man, look at it. You could be over there sipping mint juleps, eating grapes in a hammock, as versus that poor sap that's lifting weights all day long, struggling. From a single day look, it looks like karma. It's like, wow, that person did something bad. Well, that person is trying to be a world-class athlete, and it takes more than one day. Likewise, it takes more than one lifetime. Likewise, it takes more than 100 lifetimes. And karma it's totally backwards. God does not demand that you pay for your sins. God does not demand that you be punished for your sins. It's like a loving parent takes a child and says, "Oh, don't touch that hot wood stove because you'll burn yourself." To the child, tells them 50 times a day, "Don't touch the hot stove because it will burn you." Well, the child goes up and touches it. Psh, wow, that hurt. And then, of course, the parent spanks the child maybe and says, "I told you not to do that." Well, do you think that the parent hates the child? No. The parent is teaching the child that what you did was disobey me and you got burned. It could have been much worse. But the punishment, so to say, is to teach that child through love, try to have faith in me, is what the parent is teaching to the child. Try to believe me. It, as a loving relation, it's like the parent will someday go, "Well, you're free to do whatever you want. I'm not controlling you." But as a loving parent, I'm trying to teach you so that you don't make mistakes in life that will destroy you or whatever. Karma is the same thing. Karma is not a reparation for things that were done bad. That's like saying, what the heck did Jesus do in a former life that he was punished by being hung on a cross? He must have been a terrible person. Bad karma, right? Wrong. No, and not at all. Furthermore, it's way more complex than just you. A lot of times you suffer, which would seemingly be karma, for the benefit of someone else. So when you look at the things that you suffer, maybe someone else is benefiting from your suffering. So don't be so self-centered or selfish. Realize that if you love and you love God and you love mankind and everything, bad things happen to you or whatever, don't look at it as bad karma or that you did something bad, but rather look at it as it just is what it is. You don't understand the full ramifications of what's taking place. So those are the main topics that I wanted to cover, and I've been thinking about them for a while. And please don't think that you can, or no, that's not the right thing. What I mean is, I'm not teaching something that other people teach. I'm destroying what other people teach. Not only am I not trying, I'm not destroying love. I'm not destroying compassion or dependability or camaraderie or this or that or whatever. What I'm destroying are, well, I'm not destroying anything. You are, if you believe what I say, destroying the corruption of centuries and millennia of people that have ulterior motives. When I say people, demons, that have ulterior motives for you and everyone else. So, to wrap this up, the only way you're going to get the truth of understanding is the direct vertical connection to God. So that's what you need to work on if you want to know the truth, because you're not going to find it in books. You're not going to find it in gurus. Believe me, I have looked for, I've been looking for the better part of 55 years for the truth. And I have been in many religions, faiths, and talked with gurus. And, look at my library here. I've read books galore and everything else. And I'm here to tell you, I watch YouTube videos, etc., etc. Nobody on the planet that I'm aware of teaches what I teach or tries to correct what. Now, that doesn't mean that I know everything by any stretch of the means. It's just that I know the truth of many things, and I don't have to have confirmation from other people. I get that from vertical sources, the same as Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, etc., etc. So if you want to become enlightened, spiritually enlightened speaking, if that's what you want, you're not going to find it by learning from unenlightened people. You're not going to find it in books. You're not going to find enlightenment in anyone's teaching, whatever. Yes, you got to start on that path. Yes, you got to read books. Yes, you got to study. But in the end, there's no one that I know of. Now, I'm not saying there aren't enlightened people out there that can teach about enlightenment, but I don't know of any. And I have searched the world over, so to say. For me personally, I don't, honestly, I don't know where you can find the truth to become enlightened. Because it has to be one on one. Could I enlighten an individual? I don't know, possibly. But it's very difficult. I hope you enjoy this, and I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.